Herbie's heartfelt desire was to overthrow capitalism. He assumed that he could rouse up the exploited workers to revolt against the business owners. To his dismay, he found that the workers in the United States were fairly content. So he sought a substitute. He actually sought every substitute he could possibly imagine, and created the sexual revolution, the feminist revolution, the anti-war movement, supposedly addressing the issue of poverty and racism. He and his cronies created the Students for a Democratic Society, the American Civil Liberties Union, the Black Panthers. Herbie the pervert, the sack of refuse, or I guess I should pronounce it refuse, because you pronounce his name Marcuse. Herbert the pervert, the sack of refuse, created the sleepers, the sleeper agents in the United States of America who flooded the media after the 1960s, who became what Rush Limbaugh calls the drive-by media. They are the perverted offspring of Herbert the pervert. Herbert the pervert became known as the father of the anti-war movement. Yes, I know who he is. And his movement was described by Carl Oglesby as a movement that grew like a weed. Something else that grows like a weed is a plague. Like a virus unleashed on the internet. You don't have to spend a nickel on it. It grows and grows like a weed. It spreads like the plague. It's a psychological virus which turns the victims of this plague into perpetrators of the plague. Until, theoretically, unless something stops it, unless the host becomes immune, develops immunity, learns how to resist this plague, the plague will overwhelm and destroy the host. In this case, the United States. I don't want to read Marcuse. I don't want to delve into Marcuse's private perversions. I only wanted an overview. I wanted to glance him over. That's what I did. That's all I care to do. I wanted to glance him over and give others a heads up. That's what I did. That's all I care to do. You spend your days studying Herbert Marcuse. I will spend my days finding ways to stop him. The first paragraph says that an open letter to Judge Sifton entitled "Political Grand Juries Must Be Stopped" appeared in the New York-based Marxist-Leninist weekly, Guardian. The letter expressed outrage that federal grand juries were investigating the activities of leftist revolutionaries who have, quote, supported mass struggles against the military, development of an armed clandestine movement, and broad struggle against repression, unquote. Among its signers were Chip Burlett. Other signers included convicted spy Morton Sobel, S-O-B-E-L, William Kunstler, and Arthur Kanoy. Attorneys active in the National Lawyers Guild and closely associated with communist and revolutionary causes. Among the organizations represented were the Prairie Fire Organizing Committee, Prairie Fire Organizing Committee, and others. But just below that you read that the Prairie Fire Organizing Committee, formed in 1974, was the publishing arm of the Weather Underground organization, the terrorist spinoff from Students for a Democratic Society. Its first pamphlet was Prairie Fire, The Politics of Revolutionary Anti-Imperialism, written by Bernardine Dorn, Bill Ayers, and Jeff Jones. Put yourself in the position of George Soros, who is holding a huge short position in U.S. dollars. Now, he's not dumb. He has seen what happens to countries which are overthrown by communist revolutions. He's seen that in every case the economy collapses. In the case of Zimbabwe, the inflation is astronomical. The farmland is sitting idle. Farm equipment that was seized by the government and given to political cronies. Farm equipment sits idle, rusting, in fields overgrown with wild grass.
The Supreme Court never ventured into the issues of redistribution of wealth and sort of more basic issues of political and economic justice in the society. And to that extent, as radical as I think people try to characterize the Warren Court, it wasn't that radical. It didn't break free from the essential constraints that were placed by the Founding Fathers in the Constitution. The Supreme Court never ventured into the issues of redistribution of wealth, and sort of more basic issues of political and economic justice in the society. And to that extent, as radical as I think people try to characterize the Warren Court, it wasn't that radical. It didn't break free from the essential constraints that were placed by the Founding Fathers in the Constitution.